You know, the Mediterranean diet is one of the hottest diets there is. Things like hummus, olive oil, feta cheese, cucumber salad come to mind, but there is a lot more to it than that. And Carol Cottrill, our old friend, is back. Yep. And when I say old, I didn't mean that. Don't get upset.
Thanks.
We were talking about birthdays off the air. I've got to be careful there.
You sure do.
All right. So let's talk about the Mediterranean diet. Why is it so hot right now?
Well, because science just came out and proved it to be the healthiest diet out there. They actually stopped the research early because it was so compelling.
You never hear that.
Exactly. For a longer life, a slimmer body, the Mediterranean diet is it.
And this is a region of the world where people have been looking and trying to figure that out for quite a long time, right?
Exactly. And so any of the countries that border the Mediterranean Sea are a part of the Mediterranean diet. But it was actually quite a while ago, the study followed the Cretes and the way that they lived. And, this was a very mountainous region. Mm-hmm. And so there is that component of climbing the mountains with a donkey, going up the hill. They certainly weren't sedentary people like we are. So we have to factor that in too.
So what are the essentials of this diet?
Well, a lot of people think it's, cucumbers and feta cheese salads that you get at a Mediterranean restaurant, but it's much more than that. The staples of this diet are fruits and vegetables are dominating the plate. And when I say vegetables, that doesn't count potatoes. I mean, they're talking about vegetables other than that. Legumes and beans. Nuts are eaten once a week. Fish a couple times a week. No deli meats. Very rarely red meat. Very rarely dairy. And a little bit of wine. And not a lot of sugar, some dessert, but occasional, just a celebratory dessert.
Is it a low-fat diet? Because it doesn't sound like it.
It's a high-fat diet. Yeah. It's a high-fat diet, but the diet is coming from monounsaturated fat, so mostly from olive oil, avocado. That's the healthy fat. We've talked about that before on the show. The fats that come from nature are generally the healthy fats, and the ones that are invented in a science lab, not so much.
And you mentioned not being sedentary. With any diet, you have to combine it with some form of exercise, right?
Listen, the bottom line is eat less, move more.
There you go. There you go. Carol Cottrill, you always boil it down so well. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
You know, relationships can sometimes take their toll, both mentally and physically. And experts say when it comes to new relationships, women tend to gain the boyfriend layer. Joining me now, nutritionist Carol Cottrill, also author of The French Twist. So the boyfriend layer.
There you go.
This doesn't sound like it's a complimentary term.
Look, when you're looking for that guy to complete you, make sure he doesn't come complete with a bag of nacho chips and the wrong kind of six-pack.
Okay.
Because what studies are showing is when a guy enters a gal's life, the gal picks up a few pounds.
This is emotional eating, I would imagine, plays into that, which is a big problem with a lot of people who eat too much.
Well, yeah, and when we think about emotional eating, we think of it as a negative thing, like something's wrong, and so we're eating because we're bored or we're stressed. But emotional eating can also happen when you're happy. You let your guard down. You have this new guy in your life. You're not exercising as much.
And you don't think as much about what you're eating.
Absolutely not. And you take on the habits of the partner you eat with. And so, like I said, if this guy's chowing down on, nacho chips and buffalo wings, and up until then, you've been eating lean protein and a salad, you're going to pack on a few pounds.
So what are some strategies to prevent this?
I think, first of all, always, I always talk about this first, awareness. Be aware that when there's a change in your life, there may be a change in your diet. And also, I think the emotional psychological component of this is that women are more careful about what they look like before they meet the guy. And then after they get the guy, they feel like
relax
they can
a little,
slack a little bit. Yeah, and really you should be doing it for you, not for anyone else. So that should always be the motivating factor.
Yeah, if you have the motivation inside yourself, it's not going to matter who you're with or not with.
Exactly. And I think the thing that you can do as a couple is exercise together. Play a sport together, go to the gym, maybe make and plan meals together, and that's a way to work around it.
Playing sports together is a great thing, and there are so many non-traditional sports that have boomed lately, kickball and things like that. It's easier than ever. Carol Cottrill, great to see you. Thanks. Great advice.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Okay.
You know, 45 million Americans are on a diet of some kind at any given time, and yet obesity is at an all-time high. I want to talk a little bit about the reasons for that and what you can do about it. Nutritionist Cottrill is here, our old friend, to talk a little bit about it. And there are 4 reasons you say that diets fail. Carol, what are they?
I think the top on my list is that diets work outside of ourselves, whereas intuitive eating, that's an internal job. That's based on hunger and fullness, learning to read those cues. When you diet, you lose total touch with those cues because diets tell you what to eat and when to eat with really no regard to your preference, your taste, your hunger, your satisfaction.
Yeah, you're trying to look at a list and see what you can and when you're supposed to do it.
Yep.
And sometimes I know you say dieting is not sustainable.
Well, think about it. People come into my office and they say, I was on such and such diet a year ago and it really worked great. What do you have for me today? Well, if it really worked great, you wouldn't be back, right? But I think that what happens is when people enter into an eating plan or a diet, they don't ask the most important question, and it is, how do I define success? If success is that you're going to be on a different diet every week, then maybe fad dieting is for you. But if you want a sustainable approach of weight management where you're not going up and down the scale, then you got to go back to that intuitive eating.
Okay, what else? What are the other reasons why diets fail?
Well, this is another one that I write a lot about in my book, and it comes from Sir Isaac Newton, his third law of motion, which says the more you push against something, the more it comes back to you. And in the form of the craving, maybe, the diet foods that you've not allowed yourself to have, you're going to have them 3 times, 4 times over.
Okay. So those things that you're avoiding, when you get the chance,
you go crazy.
Okay.
You know what? I'm driving here today and I see on the road no U-turn. And I all of a sudden want to make a U-turn. I don't need to make a U-turn, but it told me not to. And it's part of the human element, at least for some of us.
It's like with little kids. I have 7 and 5-year-old boys. When I tell them they can't do something, that's the first thing they're going to try.
Exactly. Dieting is no different.
All right, what's the 4th?
Okay, this is the one that I think is really important to remember, that our bodies are smarter than we think they are. And we can't outsmart them. If you deprive yourself the foods that you really need, fats, carbs, carbs are great for energy. Fats make your brain work. Protein is the muscle builder of your body. If you deny any or all of those elements, then your body doesn't, it physiologically resists it.
And we come back to moderation and exercise.
Exactly.
We keep coming back to that, and yet somehow we don't get the message.
And we keep talking.
I know. Carol, good to see you here.
Good to see you.
It gives us reasons to bring you back.
Right.
We'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks.